Move on and let's talk about not a food or beverage, but Wynn, a casino, resorts and casino industry. Wynn is the company. Wynn Resorts, symbol is WYNN. Float on the short side, only 5.7. Kind of low in the institutional as well, only 72%. I thought that would be higher. PE ratio is expensive for Wynn. It is 36.7 versus 25.5. Price to sales 1.9 versus 1.5. Once again, a company no price to book value, which means that the liabilities exceed the assets. That's not a good thing usually. And I don't think there's any franchising here with the Wynn. We do see
one thing that I will say
Sure.
is I looked this up. They do own. They have 5 properties. They own 4 of the 5, or actually one's being built. So they own 3 of the 4 that are currently standing, and they sold the property to I think it was Realty Income. So this hurts them in 2 ways. Obviously, if they have debt on their current properties, that's going to hurt the debt of the equation. And many times you don't carry like the Wynn in Vegas on the books. It is not worth what it is for somebody to buy that. So I'm going to say it's somewhat underscoring essentially the strength of that balance sheet potentially.
Right.
Because they might carry it on the books, let's say for, I don't even know what those would go for. Let's say $50 million, but actually you could sell it for $100 million.
Right.
Because of the way that it's carried on the balance sheet. And then if you sold that property, well, now you have, again, those lease obligations for the Realty Income. So it's constraining the balance sheet in a negative way that may not be so negative.
And that's a good point to bring up. And we do own a REIT that actually owns land in Las Vegas. And I'm pretty sure they have acreage outside the Caesars Palace. I think they said that goes for, I think it was $30 million a square foot, I believe it was. Yeah. Ridiculous what it is. So your point being that what they have in the balance sheet on that building is probably worth far more than
on the market.
On the market, yeah. So important point. We're glad you brought that up. Price to cash flow 10.2 versus 8. We do see their earnings, down 59.4%. Industry down 0.5. Sales did fall by 2.2%. Industry down 1.2. The analysts, they're not very excited about anything here. They say the 5-year growth in the earnings are negative 156%. They do pay a small dividend, 0.8%. They use 28% of the earnings to pay that out. Look at the balance sheet, current ratio 1 versus 1.3. No debt to equity because what we just talked about, carrying things at cost, not the probably the true value, could be different if you looked at that a little bit better. We do see net profit margin 5.5 versus 5.7. That's okay. Return on equity a negative 86.9 versus 25.5. And free cash flow $743 million above the industry at $609 million. Chase, what do you got?
There's a current price here for Wynn Resorts. Again, their ticker symbol easy. Wynn, WYNN. It's $123.66. The 52-week range, the low here, wow, $65.25, and the high, $134.23. The stock, while it's done, pretty well so far this year, up about 43%. I was surprised by this. Last 10 years, it's up just 65%. So before this rally, it was essentially dead money for that 10-year period. But going forward for the business, you go out to December 2026, see estimated earnings per share here of $5.87, gives you a target sell of just $97.44. And the interesting thing here is on Friday, the stock was down about 7%. The reason was, I guess there's a pretty big storm heading towards Macau, and it's during the region's Golden Week, which welcomes thousands of visitors. And I was like, well, how big is Macau for them? It's actually very large. The Las Vegas resort that they have there occupies about 36% of revenue. They then have Wynn Palace, which is on Macau's Cotai Strip. That's 31.5% of revenue. But then they also have Wynn Macau. That's 19.4% of revenue. So those two combined is 50.9. So half their sales is coming from essentially Macau. And their Wynn Macau is about a 15-minute drive from Wynn Palace. So it's not like it's far away. And they have Boston Encore, which is about 12%. And they're building a resort in, 50 minutes. It's from the Dubai International Airport. I was kind of looking at pictures. It looks crazy what they're building
I'd like to go
out
to
there.
Dubai, see what's in Dubai.
It looks very cool.
Yeah, I do believe that China, I think the Chinese are big gamblers, I believe.
I believe so, too.
And so that's why it's such a pain, because with that storm coming in, they're not going to travel to go to these places. And They're going to miss. What was the week again you called it? The
Golden Week.
Golden Week.
Yeah. And I was kind of surprised by this, but their revenue breakdown, 61% comes from casino.
Right.
And then about 17% comes from rooms, 15% from food and beverage. They do have 81 restaurants. And then around 7.7% comes from entertainment, retail, and other. They have 200 luxury retail outlets. So
What surprised you about that?
the casino, 61%.
Oh, no, that doesn't surprise me. I
like,
figure
wow.
that's where they get most of revenue from is the gambling side. That's why I don't gamble, because you're not going to win. The house is going to win.
That's why I think sometimes you go to Vegas and if you don't gamble, you can get good deals on rooms because they just want you to come and hopefully you gamble.
Exactly.